In this video, I'm going to talk about memory and learning. I will briefly introduce the two kinds of memory, the short-term memory and the long-term memory, also the relation between them and how to transfer the short-term memory into long-term memory and apply this in learning. Before the presentation, let's play a small memory game. I will give you several seconds to remember these numbers. It may be easy for you to remember them. In fact, these numbers are remembered by us in the form of short-term memory. So what is short-term memory? Short-term memory is the capacity for holding but not manipulating a small amount of information in mind in an active, readily available state for a short period of time. In this process, the new information signals are stored in our brain in the form of short-term memory. And if the memories they are not rehearsed or actively maintained, they may last only for a few seconds. This is a very normal situation. The psychologist George Miller proposed in 1956 that people can store 7 items in short memory, plus or minus 2, and these items will last for 15 seconds in our memory. This can explain why we often forget we have learned when we are learning something. Fortunately, there are two ways to help us to remember what we have learned. The first one is by tracking. Tracking refers to the process of taking individual pieces of information and grouping them into larger units. In this way, we can remember things by turning small pieces of language into more meaningful whole. This is very useful when we are remembering something. This is very common, especially when we are remembering a phone number. We usually divided them into some the numbers into some larger units. This is very useful for helping us remember something. The second way is by highlight the keywords. I think most of us have applied this method in our daily study, especially in the exams. Highlighting the keywords and supplementing the black parts between the keywords to connect them to each other. This can help us remember the important things of what we have learned. But this method is useful only if we can find the right keywords and mark the appropriate number of keywords. There are two examples. We can see that the first note may be useless for helping us to remember what we have read because the students didn't find the correct keywords and he or she has colored more sentences. It looks like it just looks like he or she has changed a colorful background of the article. And the second one maybe should be more useful because we can get the key information from the keywords and the different colors. Multimodal has suggested that all short-term memory will automatically place to a long-term memory after a certain amount of time. So what is long-term memory? Long-term memory stored in it means information stored in the brain and retrievable over a long period of time, or often over the entire lifespan of the individual. Because of the capacity and duration of short-term memory are limited, and the long-term memory turns to have unlimited capacity. So in order to remain the important information, we have to transfer the short-term memory into long-term memory. In this way, when we need to use the past memories and experience, we can retrieve them in our long-term memory. And every time we retrieve the things in our memory, the relevant memory will become deeper and deeper. And then when we retrieve the informations again, it may be more easier for us to remember them. In fact, the information between short-term memory and long-term memory flows two-way. There are several methods for people to turn short-term memory to long-term memory, but actually they can be divided into two aspects. One is output and apply the knowledge of short-term memory in time, and another is connect short-term memory with long-term memory. And these are the references.